Billionaire mocked single dad as her maid on New Year's Eve, then froze when he said, "I'm the host." The crystal chandeliers of the Albrecht Grand Hotel glowed like captured starlight, reflecting off polished marble floors and the diamonds resting on guests' necks. New Year's Eve had drawn the city's elite into one glittering hall: billionaires, politicians, celebrities, and those who desperately wanted to be seen beside them. Ethan Cole stood near the service corridor, adjusting the cuffs of his simple black suit. To anyone watching, he looked like part of the staff, neat, quiet, purposeful. That was exactly how he wanted it. In his inner pocket, his phone vibrated. A photo popped up. His 8-year-old daughter Lily, asleep on the couch at home, clutching her favorite stuffed rabbit. The babysitter had captioned it, "She insisted you'd be back before midnight." Ethan smiled softly. He always kept his promises to Lily. "Hey," a sharp voice snapped, slicing through his thoughts. "You there?" Ethan turned. She stood draped in silver silk, diamonds blazing at her throat, lips painted the color of expensive wine. Her posture alone announced wealth. Recognition rippled through the nearby guests. "That's Veronica Hale," someone whispered. "Tech billionaire, net worth north of 12 billion. Veronica eyed Ethan from head to toe with practiced disdain. "The champagne at table 7 is warm. Do your job." A few guests snickered. Someone lifted a phone, already recording. Ethan inclined his head politely. "I'll make sure it's addressed." Veronica smirked. "Good. And wipe that look off your face. You're here to serve, not stare." Ethan met her gaze, calm, steady, unreadable. "I wasn't staring," he said evenly. "I was listening." She laughed, sharp and humorless. "Of course you were. Just hurry. Some of us have real lives to get back to after midnight." She turned away as if dismissing a piece of furniture. The murmurs grew louder. "Poor guy," someone whispered. "Maid got put in his place." "That's Veronica Hale for you." Ethan exhaled slowly. He had expected this. He always did. Across the room, the orchestra swelled. The countdown clock flickered on the massive LED screen above the stage, 11:42 p.m. Veronica returned 10 minutes later, glass in hand. She took a sip, grimaced, and stormed back toward Ethan. "This is unacceptable," she snapped. "Are you incompetent, or is this your first night pretending to be useful?" A waiter nearby froze, clearly terrified. Ethan stepped forward before the waiter could speak. "Is there something else you need?" Veronica's eyes narrowed. "You know what, I need you to learn your place. People like you should be invisible. Especially on nights like this." The room went quiet enough that the orchestra faltered. Ethan felt the familiar tightening in his chest, not anger, but memory. Years of being underestimated, of being dismissed because he wore simple suits, drove an old car, picked his daughter up from school himself. He thought of Lily's laugh. Of promises. He straightened. "I know my place," he said calmly. Veronica scoffed. "Then stand still and stop embarrassing yourself." Ethan glanced at the clock. 11:55 p.m. Right on time. He turned, not away from her, but toward the center of the ballroom, and lifted his voice, calm yet commanding. "Ladies and gentlemen," he said. Conversation stalled. Heads turned. Veronica frowned. "What do you think you're doing?" Ethan continued, unfazed. "Thank you for joining us tonight. I hope the evening has been memorable." A hush fell. Veronica's face drained of color. Ethan met her eyes at last, a small, polite smile forming. "I should probably introduce myself properly," he said. "Ethan Cole. And yes, before you ask, I'm the host." The silence was deafening. Then, confusion, murmurs, gasps. Veronica laughed weakly. "That's not funny." Security. The hotel manager rushed onto the floor, panic and reverence battling on his face. "Mr. Cole," he said, bowing his head slightly. "We're ready when you are." Veronica's glass slipped from her fingers, shattering on the marble. Ethan nodded. "Thank you, James." He turned back to the guests. "Tonight isn't about wealth or status," he said. "It's about beginnings, about remembering who we are when no one thinks we matter." Eyes searched faces. Phones rose higher. Veronica stammered, This is impossible. I know all the major investors in this city." Ethan glanced at her, not cruelly, not triumphantly. Just honestly. "I sold my company 3 years ago," he said. "I stayed quiet, raised my daughter, built something better." The realization hit her like ice water. "You're that Cole," she whispered. "Cole Dynamics, the anonymous buyer." Ethan gave a slight nod. The countdown clock flashed 11:59 p.m. 10. The crowd began to chant. Ethan lifted a hand. "Before midnight, I want to make one thing clear. His eyes swept the room, then returned to Veronica. Titles mean nothing. How you treat people means everything. Veronica's lips trembled. For the first time, she looked small. 5, 4. Ethan turned toward the stage. 3, 2, 1. Fireworks exploded across the screen. Confetti rained down. The orchestra erupted. Cheers shook the room. Ethan felt his phone vibrate again. A message from the babysitter. She woke up. Asked if you kept your promise. He typed back quickly, always. As the crowd celebrated, Veronica stood frozen. Ethan stepped closer to her, lowering his voice so only she could hear. I hope next year, he said gently, you'll remember that. Tears welled in her eyes, not from humiliation alone, but from understanding. I'm sorry, she whispered. Ethan nodded once. That's a start. He walked away as applause followed him, not because he was rich, not because he was powerful, but because he had reminded them of something rare. At 12:07 a.m., Ethan slipped out of the ballroom, coat over his arm, unnoticed again. By 12:32, he was home. Lily bolted upright when the door opened. Daddy, he scooped her into his arms. Happy New Year, superstar. She hugged him tight. Did you win? Ethan smiled, kissing her hair. We both did. Outside, fireworks lit the sky. Inside, a single dad kept his promise, host of a night the city would never forget.